To add to that, Luke, something else that I think beyond the Bitcoin stuff we really need to be aware of is the development of CBDCs. Is this something you're familiar with?
I don't know heaps about it, but
central
enough.
bank digital currencies. And this is something the Reserve Bank of New Zealand is working on. They're calling it digital cash. And I think it's very concerning because what you just said, being able to inject money at a retail level into people's accounts, that is a two-way street, though, because it means they can also take money out, they can turn money off. And I think it's kind of a meme at this point, but, the whole carbon credit thing and, maybe... you've brought too much petrol this week, so we're going to just be freezing your ability to buy petrol. Stuff like that is possible when you have programmable money that is run by the state. And I think this is something we really need to look into. It's not really getting any airtime in the media. I've tried talking about it, but we have to be really careful because no one even uses cash anymore. FPOS still goes through the commercial banks, but when you have a system where the state can actually see every transaction, it can monitor it, it can run analytics on it, and it can say, hey, I don't actually like what Cody and Luke are talking about. We're going to just go and demonetize them and punish them. We're going to do some mucking around with the money, which is the kind of stuff you see in totalitarian states. I think this is something we have to be really careful of. And it's unfortunate, though, because that's the only place we can go, is to have things like that, to have negative interest rates, to have all of these kind of extra limits on what we can do with our money. It's the only way that fiat money can go. And so I see that as sort of the path of slavery, whereas something like Bitcoin, which is permissionless, you can't control it, that's the path of freedom. So it's kind of a little bit more, I guess, a philosophical question, but there's almost these two paths that are starting to open up.
Mm. So you believe that CBDC will basically will end up there eventually? It seems like we're on that path.
It has to. The control mechanism, if it's there, it will be used.
Yeah.
And if they can turn off the money for things that they don't like, they will do that.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. I mean, from what I've read, it seems like it's inevitable that in our lifetime we will see a CBDC. And no matter what people think in New Zealand, it's happening regardless, is the take that I get on it. Even though I saw thousands of people did submissions about it.
They were most of them were negative.
Yeah,
they're like, don't do this, bro. And they were still going to do it. And that's also because the Reserve Bank is unelected.
Mm.
So you don't get to vote for that. And they're arguably the most powerful institution in the country. And they got 600 people over there on the terrace in Wellington. And I'm like, man, what are you guys doing? Your job was to control inflation, and now you're giving us a totalitarian state. Like, I don't know if I signed up for that.
I think their argument would be that obviously there's a lot of positives to it, which people can go and look at. But one thing that I heard was like it's programmable to the point that they could then program the interest rate. So basically...
And go negative, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Take money out, yeah.
But why does everybody have the same interest rate when it could then be, people around in different parts of the country based on how the economy is going? It could be then... debt could be more expensive or less expensive in different regions. But I think my brain always goes to, like technology advances, it's for the positive. But Mikey always reminds me, like, you're an idiot, mate. it can be used against you. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, if people can take anything away from this conversation, it's I'm here to ask questions, and I've looked into this, and the history of fiat money and government money is a history of abuses of trust. And I certainly don't trust the Reserve Bank or any institution run by the government to look after this stuff. They can barely get inflation right. And so it's like, we got to just be really careful and vigilant, and people don't even know that this is an institution, that this is even a thing. And I think it's by purpose that they're trying to conceal this rollout of the CBDC.